be beaming, I be booming down that block. Everywhere you go, you know they know I'm hot.
What's the deal? What's going on, my good people? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you all are doing well. If this is your first time here, I want to welcome you. Pull up a seat. Hope you enjoy the content. And before we get into this video, I want to ask that you like, comment, share, subscribe, and go ahead and tap that bell while you're at it so you're notified anytime I drop a brand new video, go live, or schedule a premiere. All right, y'all. So it is story time. This is always my favorite day of the week. I hope you guys are excited as well. I'm excited, and I'm really just going to jump right in. But before I do, this video is brought to you by Shirley Girl Boutique. This is my mother's online plus size boutique, sizes 1X to 3X. She also has some one size fits most. So mom currently is having a sale with 20% off of her maxi collection. So if you visit her website, it will be in the description box below. You can go to the maxi collection and the 20% is applied automatically. All right. So go ahead and check auntie out. You know what I mean? Check your auntie out, and for those that are brand new, I'm saying auntie, even though it's my mom, everybody refers to her as Auntie Niecy. So go ahead and get yourself something nice. The holidays are coming. You can get you some gifts, save you a little money on some gifts for your mom, for your aunt, for your grandmother, for yourself, for your sister, for your god sister, whoever it is. All right. There is something for them on, within that collection, or something else on the website might catch your eye. All right. So that's it. Let's go ahead and get into the story. So today's story time is about Joy Washington. She is in her late 20s. She has a place of her own. She's in the tech space. And, she worked for the big companies and did that, but got bored with it very quickly, mainly because of all the politics and stuff at work. It's a male-dominated industry, and she knew that she can go out on her own as a consultant. So she does tech consulting work, and she works with a lot of different companies, small businesses, and always has a project going, always. So her money has actually doubled since she's been on her own. She's so glad that she made that decision. So she has two younger siblings. She has an 18-year-old brother named Jeremiah and a 20-year-old sister named Jasmine. So, she has a pretty cool relationship with her siblings, but you know how it is, being 8 years, 10 years older than someone, it's a very different world, so of course she had to babysit her brother and sister and, look out for them. And she kind of felt like their second mother at times, before she moved out on her own. So she's currently in a relationship with a girl named Brooklyn. Brooklyn is also in her late 20s, and she's in HR. So they've been together for about a year and 10 months. So they're teetering, towards that 2-year mark. And they have lived together since they hit the year mark. Now, they met through mutual friends. Some mutual friends, hooked them up, and they both were open to it, and they hit it off, And Brooklyn, this is her first time dating a woman, So she put herself out there, said that she, was always attracted to women. And once she shared that with her friends, they connected her with Joy, and it's just been on since then, And Joy wasn't skeptical about, Brooklyn never being with a woman. She wanted to really just be open because they had a connection. They had a really good time together on their first date. So, she gave it a chance, and they took their time. They dated for about 3 months before they got into their relationship. And like I said, they moved together around the year mark. So they've been together, year and 10 months, teetering on 2 years. And, things started off very, very strong between them. Things were great. Like, they were like best friends, always doing things together, but they maintained their individuality. They had some friends in common, so they would hang out with those friends. Brooklyn is really close with her family, so she would go and visit her family. Her family knows that she's in a relationship with a woman. But lately, for like the last 2 or 3 months, things have been very rocky. But it's been on Brooklyn's side. She just really kind of seems checked out, doesn't seem like herself, is not as talkative as she used to be. She's working long hours all of a sudden, kind of unexplained, and even if she is working long hours, Joy doesn't care. But it's just like the communication, the heads up that I'm going to be home an hour late, 2 hours late, so that she's not worried, and just that she knows what's going on with her. So Brooklyn is just not communicating, has been really, really short, and of course Joy thinks there's somebody else, but she confronted Brooklyn about this. And, of course, Brooklyn is like, no, like, there's nobody else. It's just work. Things are stressful. And, she's like, look, I know I can do better with communicating, and I will, but it just doesn't happen. Right. So, Joy doesn't want to be the only one that is like fighting for this relationship, and that's how she's really starting to feel. So there's this one day, Brooklyn is at work, and surprisingly, she picks up the phone and she sends Joy a text message telling her like, hey, I'm getting off a little bit late. I should be off by 6:30, and then I should be home around 7:30. And honestly, Joy is surprised, but she appreciates the effort. She acknowledges the message, and, she feels like, this feels promising. Even though it's only one text message, she really wants this relationship to work. And she's like, okay, cool. So Brooklyn's letting me know, it's communicating. Maybe she's, going to start to come around. So 7:30 comes and goes, 8:30 comes and goes. And, at this point, Joy is not trying to be too worried. Maybe she just got wrapped up at work, and 9 o'clock comes. And so at this point, she's texting her phone, not getting a response. Now, she's calling Brooklyn's phone, and the phone is going straight to voicemail. And so now she's starting to get concerned, So now it's 10 o'clock, it's 10:30, and Brooklyn is really close with her younger sister. So Joy decides to call Brooklyn's sister, and she's like, I haven't talked to her. And, should I be concerned? And so Joy is like, I'm not trying to get you worked up, but I wanted to see if you heard from her. She was supposed to be home around 7:30, and I haven't talked to her, and she won't return my calls and my text messages. So I was just reaching out. So, her sister was like, well, look, I will try to call her myself and see if I can get in touch with her. Right. So at this point, Joy is just pacing around, nervous, checking her social media page. Nothing. Brooklyn hasn't posted in her stories like she usually does. She posts every single day in her stories. But tonight, nothing. Right. So it's about 1 a.m. and, Joy has kind of dozed off on the couch. She hears the keys jingling at the door, and that wakes her up. So she wakes up, she hops up off the couch, and, she rushes to the front door. She opens it because Brooklyn is like struggling to get it open. So she opens the door, and Brooklyn stumbles in. She reeks of liquor, heavy liquor, and, her speech is slurred, and, she stumbles in the door. And of course, Joy catches her, and she's like, hey, like, are you okay? Like, did you drive like this? Like, where have you been? And Brooklyn can barely process what's being said because she is done. Like, she is so drunk, and she looks out the door, and Joy notices Brooklyn's car. So she definitely drove herself home like this. And so, she's just trying to get her together. She closes the door, gets her in the house, gets her into the bedroom, changes her clothes for her. So the next morning when Brooklyn wakes up, she is completely trashed. She's out of it. She's hoarse. She's hungover, like her mouth is dry, she still reeks of liquor, and she somehow gets out of the bed, stumbles into the living room. She sees Joy working. Joy's on a phone call. She gets into the kitchen. She finds a snack, so that she can, take some pills to try to get rid of this headache. And she has to call in sick to work. There's no way. She's in no condition to go to work. So she goes back, lays down for a little bit, gets up. And at this point, Joy is off her phone calls and her meetings and stuff. And, Joy is just like, asking her, like, where were you last night? Why didn't you call me? And Brooklyn is just like, I went out with one of my coworkers, like she was going through something. So I decided to go there, be there for her. Her and her dude broke up, and it was all of a sudden she's heartbroken, thought they were getting married. And, and I'm sorry. She was like, I was just in the moment because I wasn't planning on going out with her. And I didn't think about it. So my bad. I'm sorry. She was like, it's always your bad, though. Like, all you had to do was pick the phone up 15 seconds. I know you had your phone with you. It's always in your hand. So I know you had it with you. She was like, look, like I said, it was a long day at work. I was already working late. This came up. She's always there for me. She's like my work best friend. So I had to be there for her. And, she wanted to cry it out. She wanted to drink it out. So I went, and I got a little carried away, started doing too much. And she was like, about the doing too much. Why would you drive home drunk? Like, you could have hurt yourself or somebody else. Look, but I'm here, aren't I? Yes, you're here. By the grace of God, I'm glad that you're here. But still, you know better than that. And not to mention, like, anyway, I looked at our account and I see that you deposited some money, but it's not enough to cover the rent. So she was like, okay, well, can't you just cover it? I mean, I could, but our agreement is that we're going to split everything 50-50. And so Brooklyn is just kind of like still out of it a little bit. She was like, you tripping off of $200, but that's your responsibility, Brooklyn. Like, you agreed that we both agreed that we was going to, split everything 50-50. This is the second month in a row you've done this. You've been short on the rent, short on the utilities. You haven't bought groceries. And she was like, damn, you clocking me like that? It's not about clocking you. It's about us doing this thing, this togetherness. Remember all of that partnership, everything that we talked about? You're not doing your part. So Joy is really expressing her frustrations about, Brooklyn not pulling her weight financially. Like, she's really getting frustrated about that and doesn't want to have this conversation every single month. And not to mention, she makes really good money. Brooklyn is making really, really good money. She's making like $75,000, $80,000. And she doesn't really have a whole lot of debt. So it's really like, where's your money going? And that's why Joy feels like, do you have a drinking problem? Do you have a drug problem? What are you doing with your money? You know what I'm saying? In these times when you're hanging out and I don't know what you're doing, who are you with? Is it somebody else? Are you giving money to somebody else? You know what I mean? So a lot of these things that Joy just has questions, and she can't get no answers, right? So that day is just kind of over and done with. You know, there's just tension between them, and they kind of just do their own thing for the rest of that day. So now let's fast forward to like 2 weeks, right? It's a Sunday. So they're both off on Sundays. They agreed not to work on Sundays because that was going to be their day, you know, to prepare for the upcoming week. So, you know, Brooklyn is sleeping in. Joy got up early and she went in the kitchen. You know, she looked in the refrigerator to see what they had, and she felt like it was time for them to have brunch. Like, they haven't really sat and eaten together in what feels like months, right? So she gets in there and she makes everything: sausage, French toast. They got hash browns, eggs, there's fruit, you know, and she really just, you know, wants to have this moment, you know, with Brooklyn. So she cooks this big spread, and, you know, the food eventually wakes Brooklyn up. So she gets up and she makes her way into the kitchen, and she's just like, what's the special occasion? She was like, you know, no occasion. Like, we need this. Like, I can't remember the last time that we sat down and ate together. You know what I'm saying? And when we have eaten together, you know, we have our phones out, the TV is on. Like, I want us just to sit down and enjoy this moment. You know, that's what I want for the both of us. Are you cool with that? She was like, of course. Yeah. Like, yes, thank you for taking time to do this. And she was like, yeah, you know, and, you know, Joy is just like, I know that we haven't really been on the same page lately, you know, and, you know, look, I just you sit down and I'm gonna make your plate, you know. So she makes Brooklyn's, you know, food, makes her food. They sit down and, you know, they're just sitting there enjoying every single bite. Like, you know, Joy really put her foot in this food. So they sit there, they're full, they've had mimosas, and at the end of it, she hands Brooklyn a bag. It's a gift bag. It has tissue paper in it. And she's like, what's the special occasion? She was like, it's no special occasion. I'm telling you, this is just a regular old Sunday. Like, and I felt like it was just time to do something a little bit different. So, you know, Brooklyn gets the bag and it feels heavy. She's like, what is this? So she takes the tissue paper out, and it looks like this like brick looking thing inside of it, but it's gift wrapped nicely and everything, right? So she pulls this brick looking thing out, you know, rips off the paper, and it's a stack of money. It's like $20,000. And so she's like, what the fuck, Joy? Like, this is for me? She's like, yes, it's for you. And she's just like, I mean, I can't take this from me. She's like, no, I want you to have it. I want you to have it. Like, I want you to have this money. And she was just like, where'd you get this money from? She's like, I got it from my account. And so she's like, what? Like, I mean, I know that you make pretty good money, but you just have an extra $20,000 sitting around? And she's like, I do. And she's like, look, and what I want you to do with that money is I want you to find yourself a place to live, because it's over. I can't do this anymore. I can't do the back and forth, the inconsistency. You're being inconsiderate. You don't want to communicate. I feel like what I'm asking for is not much. And she's like, what? She's like, yeah, I want you to take that money. You know, this is my place. It's not fair for me to just up and kick you out. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna look out for you. You know what I mean? Like, you should be able to get you a place, furnish it, and you should be fine. You know what I mean? But she was like, so she's just stunned. Brooklyn is just stunned. So she's like, I got money. I just got dumped. You know, and she just kind of sitting in this moment. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, at this point, Joy reveals, like, look, I wanted us to make it to the 2-year mark before I told you this. But, you know, 3 years ago at my old job, I actually had a settlement, and it's a multi-million-dollar settlement. So I have money, and I never wanted to bring that up because, you know, I don't want to be with somebody that's with me for the wrong reasons. You know, I don't mind sharing my money and what I have and what I do and all that stuff. I don't mind that. But I felt like the 2-year mark is what I needed to know if, you know what I'm saying, if this was really going to work and it made sense for me to share that with you. And unfortunately, we didn't make it. You know what I'm saying? And so, of course, at this point, Brooklyn trying to change her tone and apologize. And now that she's heard this news about, you know, Joy having money and all this, and she's just like, no, like, it's too little too late. You know, I've been talking to you for like the last 3 or 4 months. You know, like, I've suggested things we could do, counseling, and you weren't open to any of it. So why would I want to share life with somebody that can't even, you know, really try to fight for this thing and try to make it work? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think any relationship is perfect, but it's going to be peaks and valleys, and you just checked out. And whatever you were doing, I want to free you to go ahead and do that full time. Like, you don't have to worry about me. And so, you know, they part ways. So like 3 weeks later, you know, Brooklyn finds a place. She gets her thing. She hires a moving company to come get her stuff, and she moves out. So the day that Brooklyn moved out, Joy made it a point not to be at home. You know, even though she's the one that ended the relationship, she still is heartbroken. Like, she hates that it had to come to this. And she just didn't, you know, want to see everything as it was happening. Because, of course, that makes it very real. You know, she sees her, you know, her belongings being taken to a moving truck. So, you know, once Brooklyn moved out, you know, she sent Joy a text message telling her that she was gone, and she said goodbye. And, you know, it's like, just looking at the text message, will they ever see each other again? Will their paths ever cross again? Should she block her? Like, just so many things were going through her head. Then she makes her way back to the house, and then getting there and there's things being different. Artwork is missing, half of the closet is empty now, and it's just different. So just settling back into this new life of being single, and just wishing that they really could have worked things out, So like a week or two goes by, and she's sad. Like, she's grieving. She didn't think this was going to hurt as bad as it did. And, her friends, the mutual friends that her and Brooklyn had, they're devastated about the breakup, and they want to come over and, make sure she's okay. But, Joy really just wants to be by herself, you know what I'm saying? To sit with her thoughts and, just to contemplate what to do next, pretty much, So in all of this, her phone rings, and it happens to be her younger sister, Jasmine. So she picks up the phone, and they're talking, and she notices right away that Jasmine sounds kind of sad. And she's like, hey, like, are you okay? And, Jasmine is kind of hesitant. Now, let me say this. They don't talk often. They don't really talk a whole lot, and you'll find out in just a moment why. So she's like, you don't sound like yourself. Like, have you been crying? And Jasmine's like, I have. And she's like, did somebody do something to you? Do you need me to come home? Like, what's wrong? And she's just like, I don't really know how to say this. And she was like, just say it. Like, are you okay? She's like, I'm fine. She was like, it's Mom. She was like, did mom die? Is she in an accident? Like, what's going on? And she's like, Mom has stage 4 lung cancer. And she's like, what? She's like, yeah, she went to the doctor. She'd been having some complications. She wasn't feeling like herself. She went to the doctor, and they ran some tests, and yeah, she has stage 4 lung cancer. And I know you and Mom aren't in the best place, but I just think it's good that you maybe come home. I don't know how much time does she have left. I don't know any of that. All I know is she's sick, and anything could happen at any point. And could you just come home? And so, without hesitation, she tells her yes. And they get off the phone. She books her ticket to go back home. So a little backstory is that 5 years ago, Joy was basically disowned by her mother. Her parents were divorced, and her dad never really maintained their relationship once they got divorced. But, once Joy came out as a lesbian, her mom wasn't having it. Her mom wasn't having it. She threw religion in her face, told Joy that she was going to be a disgrace and embarrass the family. She wasn't, going to carry on the family lineage and all that kind of stuff, right? She wasn't going to get grandchildren. Like, all this stuff was thrown in her face. Like, and she really just made, Joy feel like shit. She did, and told her, like, I only have 2 kids. I don't have 3, and just told her, like, you can never come back to this house again. You can't come for the holidays. Like, she completely just blackballed her out of the family because of who she sleeps with, because of her sexual preferences, So since Joy packed up her things and left, she has not talked to her mother. She hasn't. Of course, she knows what's going on with her mom, through her sister. She talked to her brother, but they haven't talked. Her mother hasn't called and apologized. She hasn't welcomed Joy back into the house. So, a big part of Joy really feels like she's nervous, because it's like, how is it going to be when they see each other for the first time? But she does feel like that she owes it to her mom to be there, for her. And also, too, she wants to be emotional support for her brother and sister, because they're young. Her brother Jeremiah is 18. Her sister is only 20. So, she knows she has to step up and kind of, be there for them, because they look up to her like a mother figure, anyway. So she gets back home, and like I said, she's very nervous when she's, outside the front of the house. She's nervous, and she gets to the door. And when she goes in, she has gifts for Jeremiah and for Jasmine. They're so excited to see her. They embrace her. They're crying and just happy to see their big sister, because it's been a while since they've seen her. And, she hands them their gifts. And Jasmine has a gold necklace that has a ballerina around it, because she's a dancer. And, Jeremiah is a huge video game guy. So she got him some new video games. And, she's just happy to look at him and see him and touch him. And, she hates that it has to be under these circumstances, but she misses him, but because they're still living with their mom, like, it's just kind of hard, you know what I'm saying? And, of course she wants them to come and visit, but again, the mom is just like, not having it. She doesn't have anything nice to say about Joy, right? So, luckily when she gets there, her mom isn't at home. So it kind of gives her time to kind of, process and get herself together for when they're, they are going to see each other. So about an hour or 2 goes by, and she can hear her mom pull into the driveway outside. So she takes a couple of deep breaths, and, she doesn't know if she should sit down, should I stand up? And so she decides to stand up. She stands up, and as the door swings open, her mom comes in, and her mom is just kind of surprised to see her. She doesn't look happy to see Joy. And she's just like, what are you doing here? And she's just like, hey, Jasmine called, and she told you what's going on. Yeah, she did. And so you decided to come home? I did, Mom. Like, I wanted to come and check on you. I wanted to come and check on them. I haven't seen you guys in years. And look, we can have our differences or whatever, but I mean, we're still family. Yeah, we are still family. It's something, unfortunately, I can't change. And she's just like, Mom, like, are you still mad? And she's just like, I'm not mad. I'm just saying, like, you have your lifestyle thing going on, and it's something I don't agree with. So she's just like, okay. And she's just like, okay, so, I mean, what can I do for you? Can I help you with something? She's like, I don't need your help. If I needed something, I would have called you. Jasmine did that, not me. And so she's just like, look, Mom, can we just put our differences aside? I'm only going to be in town for a few days. Can we pretend to be a family just for a couple of days? That's it. And I'll be out of your hair. But I'm here. I'm willing to do whatever you need me to help you with. I can do whatever you need me to do. And so Jasmine comes in, and, she's trying to kind of like clear out the tension that's in the air or whatever. And, their mom kind of calms down a little bit, right? So eventually they're in the kitchen, and Jasmine is making spaghetti. Joy is helping her. Their mom is looking through like some bills, and Jeremiah's playing a video game. And, the mom looks up, and she's just like, I'm sorry. And so Joy is like, what? She's like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know why I did what I did. It's not really that serious. Like, what you decide to do with your life is completely up to you. And so Joy is looking like, where the fuck is all this coming from? Like, you was just mad when I got here, an hour ago, and now you're talking about, I'm sorry? She's like, Mom, do you really, are you serious? Do you mean what you're saying? She's like, no, I do. Like, I'm just really sorry about the way that I greeted you, all this time that's gone by that we can never get back. And I'm ashamed. Like, I'm embarrassed about the way that I've treated you like a scum of the fucking earth. You are my child, and I am supposed to protect you, love you, shield you, be here for you, and here I am, sick, not sure how much time I have left, but I'm glad I got a chance to at least say this to your face. And, they have a moment, they're both on the brink of tears, and Joy hugs her mother for the first time in 5 years. So just imagine how this feels, being in her mother's arms and being close to her, and them having that love and that connection, So they sit down and have dinner as a family, and there's not tension in the air. They laugh, they crack jokes, and it feels like old times. It does, and once dinner is over, Joy, Jeremiah, and Jasmine, get the kitchen cleaned up, and, Jasmine's collecting her things, and she's getting ready to leave. And her mom was like, where are you going? She was like, well, I mean, we haven't been on good terms for 5 years, so I got a hotel. She's like, you have to stay here. Like, please, you have to stay here. And she's like, are you sure? She's like, yes, I'm sure. Like, please. So, she cancels her hotel, and, she stays. And it feels good to just be home. It feels good to be home. It feels good to sleep in her old room. It feels good, to see her sister practicing her dance moves, and she just thinks about all the things that she's missed over the last 5 years, and she's only going to be there for a couple of days, and she's like contemplating, should she extend her stay, and, what should she do? You know what I mean? So one day, her brother and sister are gone, and it's just her and her mom at home. And she's walking into the kitchen, and her mom is on the phone talking. And she looks at the kitchen table, and there's just all these bills everywhere. And she starts looking through them, and they're hospital bills. Some for $5,000, some for $7,000, some for $12,000. Like, there's just these different huge dollar amounts, right? And so she waits for her mom to get off the phone, and she's like, so Mom, like, these bills, like, I mean, is your insurance going to cover it or what? And she's just like, they're going to cover some of it, but not nearly enough. And I don't know. I'm going to figure it out. And she's just like, Mom, look, we haven't been on the best terms, but you know that I got that huge settlement. And I mean, I'd be more than happy to pay the bills. More than happy to. She's like, I can't ask you to do that. Like, that's not fair. And she's like, no, like, I have no problem, making sure your stuff is current and taken care of, and that you have what you need. I don't want you to feel like you can't get certain treatment or whatever because of, in coverage. Like, I'll take care of it. And, her mom was like, are you sure? She's like, yes, I'm sure. She's like, so do you want me to give you the money or whatever? She's like, I mean, I can give you my account information. You can deposit the money there, or if you want to pay the bills directly. She's like, no, I'll deposit the money into your account before I leave. And, I'm going to put more than enough in there. And just look, if you need something, like, especially now that we're on good terms, please tell me. You have to tell me so that I can help you. Just know that I'm willing to help you. Our past is our past, and we can just move forward from now. And she's just, her mom is just grateful, grateful that, Joy can look past, her shortcomings and how she treated her and, be willing to look out for her in this moment, you know what I'm saying, where there's just uncertainty about what's going to happen with her health, So like 2 or 3 days go by and, Jeremiah comes back from hanging out with his friends and he goes up to Joy and he's like, can we go for a ride? Now, this is something they used to do all the time, but on Sundays, they would go for a ride like around 6, 7 o'clock before it was dark. And they would just drive up the coast and roll the windows down. And Joy lights up as soon as he asks this. And she's like, I'm glad you asked. Now, the only difference this time is that instead of Joy having to drive, Jasmine now has her license. So she's excited about seeing her sister drive because she wasn't driving the last time she saw her. You know what I mean? So Joy climbs in the back seat with Jeremiah. Their mom climbs in the front seat in the passenger side. And, Jasmine is driving. And to Joy's surprise, she's a good driver, So she's just admiring her sister, seeing her all grown up. Looking at her through the mirror and just happy. Like she's lit up on the inside, lit up on the outside. And they're laughing, they got the windows down. They're passing through traffic. They letting the fresh air come in. And it feels good. Like they really feel like a family, the togetherness, the newness of what their relationship could be. No matter how much time they have left for all four of them together, it feels good to be in this particular moment. You know what I'm saying? And, it just enjoys mine. Like she's expressing so much gratitude, for it. And so they get back home and, Joy wants to keep this thing going, this feeling of this togetherness. So she was like, hey, I worked on this project. It's like a film and I want to show it to you guys. Like, would you be down to watch it? And they're like, of course, yeah, like put it on, right? So everybody is tuned in, anticipating the film that's about to come on. And finally, Joy works through her issues that she's having and, she projects everything from her laptop onto the TV. And it pops up, but it's in black and white and it's like home video, like home security footage. And it looks like their mother is in the frame. So everybody's looking a little confused, like what's going on? And there's audio attached and their mother is in the kitchen and she's on the phone and clearly she's home alone because she's talking loud enough that if anybody were home, they would have heard her. And so she's talking about just how, she has this plan to get Joy for her money. That dyke bitch, I'm definitely going to get what's owed to me. She owes me. The way she made me feel, the way she, embarrassed this family. Yeah, I'm going to get her. Whoever she was talking to must have asked her, what was her plan? What was she going to do? Because she starts going into details about, I don't know, I'm going to come up with some shit, something with my health, maybe some, I don't know, some medical bills, something to get her dumb ass to give me some money. Like, and look, I know she misses me. I know she probably wants our relationship back. And let me tell you something. I know my kids well enough. If I say something is wrong with me, Jasmine's going to be the first one to pick up the phone and call Joy. And Joy is going to come running. I know that's what's going to happen. And so she on the phone laughing and kikiing and stuff. And so, so Joy is like, Mom, does any of that look familiar? And so the mom doesn't know what to say. There's nothing she can say. And she's like, you look confused. Let me help you out, Mom. So when you kicked me out 5 years ago, I had no idea when I was going to see my brother and sister again. I knew that you were going to keep them away from me, so I had to make sure that they were okay. So before I left, I made sure that I tapped the house. I put cameras everywhere. So what does that mean? I've seen everything that's gone on up in this house for the last 5 years. I've seen the things that you've done, the things that you've tried, the shit that you've covered up, the things you said about me. You tried to destroy my name and my character with our family. Like, I've heard it all. I've seen it all. And look, I know this is hard for you guys to watch this, Jeremiah and Jasmine, but you have to know who the fuck your mother is. I want you to see her for exactly who she is. She is a master manipulator. She is. So yes, I played the part. I came over here coming like I wanted to come for the rescue and I'll pay her hospital bills and I'll be the good big sister. But no, the whole plan the entire time was to put you on blast so that your kids know exactly who you are. Look at her. I'm telling you guys, there's nothing wrong with her. And so Jasmine gets herself together and she's like, Mom, is this true? Like, are you don't have cancer? Like, I'm confused. This was all a setup. So of course the silence tells Jasmine everything she needs to know, and she's just overwhelmed and overcome with emotion. So she takes off and runs upstairs to her room, and Jeremiah's just sitting there and he just doesn't know what to say. He has questions, but he's confused, he's hurt, he wants to cry, but the tears won't come out. And Joy is just like, look, you ruined everything you're a part of, you ruined. Like, even Dad changed once he got with you. I know he did. He used to tell me these different stories, and the things that were the common denominator were you. And I hate that he doesn't have a relationship with us, but I'll tell you this. I'm glad that he got out while he could. And I hope wherever he is that he's happy and that he has peace of mind and that he's not dealing with your ass. So Joy looks over to Jeremiah and she just goes to him and she holds him and she's like, look, I'm sorry that you had to find out like this, but I'm glad that I was the one that could tell you, your mother is a monster and she's capable of anything. And I know it's a lot, but I had to let you know. My intentions were not to hurt you, but you deserve the truth. And all I can hope is that you and Jasmine make a decision to get the fuck up out of here. You guys are both adults. You guys can make your own decisions. And it's not about you not having the money. I promise I will take care of you. I will put you guys up wherever you want to go. You can get your own apartment, move together, move separately, whatever you want to do. But you have to get away from her. And in all of this, the mom, she's, got up and she's ashamed and she's gone off to her room. And that's just kind of how the story is. Like, it's just this manipulation, deception, payback, revenge, and eventually Jasmine and Jeremiah, they're so young and had no plans to move out just yet. They wanted to go to college, figure things out, graduate, then think about getting their own place. So they both decide to move together, and Joy makes good on everything. She gets them an apartment and checks on them regularly. She's paid their rent for the entire year, furnished their place, and it's just a lot. And of course, they have to go to counseling, and, their dad is not around for a lot of reasons, probably associated with their mother. Who knows what she actually did to drive their father to leave or whatever. And of course, they're going to have to go to therapy and talk to somebody and process that, who their mother is and, what she's already done and what she could have done to them, had they stuck around. So, that's the story, y'all. Stuff like this actually happens. That's the part that's so wild to me, is that stuff like this happens to people, where people get set up by the people that are the closest to them, and they get set up and taken advantage of, you know what I'm saying? And there's no telling what the mom could have done to Jasmine and to Jeremiah, you know what I mean? But, Joy always had a plan, and she was waiting for the right time, and the time finally presented itself for her to, showcase and show with their mother who she was and what she was capable of. So, which is so scary, that you would do that to your own kids, dog your husband out for whatever she did to him, So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the story time. And if you did, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. I will meet you in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Make the best of the day. Be good to yourself. Peace.
I be beaming, I be booming down that block. Everywhere you go, they know I'm hot.